Hi, it's the San Diego car guy here, and I'm hanging out at Auto City in El Cajon, California. I recently had the privilege, the pleasure to test and review the Toyota Camry SE and pit it up against its arch rival and nemesis, the Honda Accord LX. Both of these cars are notorious for being the industry standard in sensible midsize family sedans. Both are of Japanese descent. Both have been around since the early 80s. Both are incredibly safe, reliable, and valuable. So while it was a complete joy and pleasure to test both these beauties, no sarcasm, the only natural thing to do next is to put these sworn enemies up against each other in a comparison test. Take a look.
I was impressed by the width and accessibility of the Camry's trunk behind the wheel wells, but disappointed that the rear seats wouldn't fold down completely flat, which also revealed some cheaper elements in the car's build materials. I gave the Camry an 8 for cargo.
Even without the seats being folded down, this trunk is still pretty ample and wide.
I was even less impressed by the Accord's trunk. Plenty spacious, but the materials were even cheaper, as shown by the wear on this lightly used example. Also, the opening to the back seats was so small that I didn't even bother to fold them down. I gave the Accord a 6 for cargo. Both cars boasted a plenty spacious back seat, but neither offered much in the way of exciting options for the rear passengers, such as climate control. The Camry seats were made of great-looking materials, but felt stiff. I gave the Camry a 6 for comfort.
It felt like they were wrapped over cheap foam, and I could see my lower back hating me after an hour of driving. What is this fuzzy thing?
The Accord's backseat was incredibly plush and comfortable, though also sparse in the way of features. I can see myself enjoying a long road trip without stiffness or back pain. I gave the Accord a 9 for comfort. The Camry drove just fine, but it was almost too basic and too average to go one way or another. Nothing sluggish about it, just nothing exciting. For performance and handling, the Camry took a 3.
I've driven cars with less power that were more fun to whip around corners. You know, rental cars.
The Accord was a pleasant surprise, especially driving it right after the Camry. There was some weight to the accelerator, and the sport mode shortened the gear ratios quite nicely. Not much in the way of suspension or cornering, but in performance and handling, the Accord beat out the Camry with a walloping 6 out of 10.
Already I feel a little more action from the engine than I did in the Camry, just hearing it start. Mind you, it's not a Ferrari, but a little more action.
Both cars were incredibly easy to drive, with lightweight steering and smooth suspension. The Camry took a 10 for driver visibility with incredible sightlines all around. The Accord, however, took a 6. I had trouble seeing out the rear window. It wasn't the worst, but its low score is mostly a demerit for poor ergonomic design, especially after all the praise I give this car for its design. Speaking of design, the Camry gets a 3 in style. Not ugly, just generic. And no matter how much sport trim you slap onto this SE model, at the end of the day, it's still a Camry. The Accord, on the other hand, is very good looking. It screams sedan, and I feel that they've managed to maintain some signature design elements throughout every generation, making every Accord look like an Accord. I gave it a 6. For value, they both stacked up pretty high because you get a lot for your money with both cars. They're both incredibly reliable, sensible, and safe, though I do think there are some more exciting driving experiences out there for the same dollar amount. And with that, I gave them both an 8. Both cars are also built incredibly well. The Accord is certainly more well-appointed, better features, and a more exciting interior. But these are durable and solid cars with nice materials. However, there are some places where it appears both car makers snuck in some cheaper materials to keep costs down, the Accord more so than the Camry, which is why the Camry earns a 9 in build quality while the Accord walked away with a 6.
But if all the cars in the world were obliterated except the Accord and the Camry, and I was picking based off drivability alone, it would be the Accord. Hands down. But what does it all mean? Well, what it means is the Honda Accord just beat the Toyota Camry by by 1 whole point in my patent pending rating system, earning a 7.5. So yes, I would rather have this car than the Toyota Camry. They're both excellent midsize family sedans. They're both made in Japan. They'll both last you forever, and they both hold incredible value. There is just something extra about the Accord that I would rather have. It drives a little better. It looks a little sleeker. It does lack some build quality elements that the Camry wins. It does lack some cargo capacity that the Camry wins out of. Still, I'd rather have the Honda Accord. Well, there it is, my comparison test of a 2016 Honda Accord LX with a 2017 Toyota Camry SE. Both stacked up fairly high, with the Accord winning by just 1 point. They're both pretty decent cars, and if you're looking for a Japanese-made, sensible, reliable, mid-size family sedan, clearly these are your only 2 options. Or are they? This is a Mazda 6. This one's a 2015 i Touring model. Like the Accord and the Camry, it hails from Japan. Like the Accord and the Camry, it's a comfortable mid-size family sedan. Like Honda and Toyota, Mazda has an excellent reliability and safety rating. You can get the Accord or the Camry, but this Mazda 6 is so good looking. It has such nice lines. It's not over-designed or over-complicated like some Japanese automakers tend to do, like they're compensating for something. It's really sleek and simple. It's got big, beefy wheels, and it's honestly a really fun, solid, sporty driver. So I'm trying to tell you that there's more to life than just the Accord and the Camry. The Accord and the Camry. Don't believe me? Let's look at some facts. This trunk is about the same size as the other 2 cars. It's not as wide as the Camry's behind the wheel wells, but it is a lot flatter, which means I'd be a lot more confident storing fragile equipment back here. There are also some heavy-duty plastic liners on the sides so things don't roll around. You want to know the best part about this trunk, though?
The seats lie completely flat. Thanks, Mazda.
Speaking of the back seat, this car is just as roomy back here as the other 2 cars, only you're sitting on comfortable, sporty leather seats with actually some pretty decent bolstering, which is something cars often overlook in the back seat. Sitting in this interior, it already feels like a more upscale, sporty car. The materials are a lot nicer and they're a lot sleeker, and I am sitting on leather seats. And you do have this little wheel thing here, which a lot of cars are getting nowadays, except the Accord and the Camry have not quite caught up with this, where you can control your menu options on your screen from down here. It's just a sleeker, sportier feel in here. It's black. It's cool. I would much rather drive this car. This is the i Touring trim, which means not only do you get that incredibly efficient Skyactiv engine, but it being the 1 level below the top of the line trim, you get a lot of premium options that you don't get on the Camry SE or that Accord LX, such as these powered leather seats, a push-button start, this proximity sensing door lock. If I have the key fob in my hand or pocket, all I have to do is lightly push this button to lock and unlock the car. The Accord I tested was a 2016 LX model. Now that's 1 trim level above base. It really doesn't offer a whole lot in the ways of options and features. That car had 27,000 miles on it and sells for $19,000. The Camry was a 2017 SE model, which is 1 trim level below the top of the line, so you do get some features and options. That car had 22,000 miles on it and sells for nearly $20,000. This handsome Mazda 6 is a 2015 model, but it also has about 27,000 miles. This is the i Touring trim, which is also 1 level below the top of the line trim, but it does feature a lot more options and luxury upgrades than the Camry's SE model. How much do you think this car's going for? $17,000. That's $1,000 less than the Accord and $3,000 less than the Camry. And just look at it. look, I got nothing against the Honda Accord and the Toyota Camry. They both rated pretty high in my patent pending rating system. But all I'm trying to say is that if you do some research, there are options like this, where for less money, you get the same safety, you get the same reliability, you get the same space, but you get a better looking car with better performance and handling. So if I had to pick between a Honda Accord and a Toyota Camry, I'd pick a Mazda 6.